you've got to think outside the box. Brand is everything.
I'm no marketer and I'm no like brand expert, but like, what is this? Like, how is this gonna work?
Like, yes.
God, I'm crying.
Throwing the red.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Getting to Grow. Really excited about this one because it's my first live in-person one, which is so fab, and we've got the amazing Shani from Perfect Head Offs. I've got the merch and got the hat, and I really didn't plan this, but my nails are green, which just kind of works.
You're on brand.
But it genuinely wasn't planned, so this is fab, and I'm going to tuck into a pineapple Yeezy, so very excited. But hello, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me. So excited.
So happy to have you on. So tell me about you. What were you doing before your role at Perfect Head now, and then tell us kind of the journey to where you got, and then we'll go like into a bit more at the brand.
Okay, well, actually, I'll start from the journey first, if that's okay. So good.
So good. So
okay, I've got the apple raspberry. I'll have a sip as well. You've inspired me. So before I worked in food and drink, I actually worked in finance for 7 years. So I'm non-university girl, went straight into the world of work. Sort of at the age of like 25, had my epiphany, looked at my boss and was like, oh, I don't want to do this until I'm 60 years old. And then I was kind of went on my, what is it that I really want to do with my life?
Yeah.
And through a passion project, ended up working in food and drink. And my first job was working for a kombucha company in field sales. So proper pavement pounding, predominantly on the on-trade, looking after a bit of the office contract catering side, which was really amazing. Like, I don't think you'll learn sales better than when you're literally door knocking, and that was great. Then I've worked in various roles, so from started off like I said, an on-trade, then I've done wholesale, and then out of home, and now pretty much everything, but predominantly grocery, working at Perfect Head. So I've just celebrated my 1 year anniversary at Perfect Head.
I saw.
Yeah.
They put on a good display. I saw the cupcakes.
I know, they were very tasty actually. It was a bit weird eating my face, but it was very tasty. When's your Getting to Grow anniversary?
Do you know what? It's April time, April 21 it launched. Okay, so April 24.
Should I send you some cupcakes with your face on
I think that's necessary, really. I'd be actually disappointed now.
I agree. Okay, no, I will do that for you, no worries.
So now you're head of sales?
Yes.
So tell us the Perfect Head story. Everyone knows about Perfect Head, and if you don't, where have you been? Because you can't not know Teddy and Marisa. They are like basically media moguls now. Like, they have literally created an insane brand that has such personality. They are so fun. I mean, your tagline is spreading positive energy, and they really, really do. Like, you can tell, like, everything we've been to, like Taste of London. You've always got the boom boxes, you've got the speakers, you guys are like dancing around. It obviously must be super cringe for you, but it's so fun.
Yeah, you just literally push past it. Yeah. You can't. I think when you start working in food and drink, you can't be cringe because you constantly have to put yourself out there. Like, especially if you're in sales, you constantly have to put yourself out there. So you got to just leave the cringe at the door. And to be honest, I quite like dancing at trade shows because it brings a little bit of fun to it. It
does, and you're right, you have to kind of set yourself apart from the crowd because FMCG now is super crowded.
It is. We're not even 2 years old, so our second birthday is going to be in October, which is kind of crazy.
Oh my gosh, in a minute?
Yeah.
Is there a party?
Probably not, but maybe we'll do Levi's face on some cake.
Yeah, let's
put Levi's little face on the cake.
Definitely.
Essentially, we've got quite a unique situation because Teddy and Levi are brothers, and they met Marisa at University of Pennsylvania in America, and Marisa is originally from New York. On top of that, Marisa is engaged to Levi.
Family affair.
It is, yeah, and they own the business together. They also live together, so it's like a proper family affair, but it's amazing. Basically, when Marisa was studying at university, she suffers with ADHD and anxiety, and she was drinking a lot of energy drinks and coffee to obviously get through the excess amount of studying, but it really made her symptoms so much worse. And a friend of hers introduced her to matcha, and she fell in love, became obsessed. Teddy was playing Division 1 football at the time, or soccer as they call it in America, and she introduced it to Teddy, and then he became obsessed. But when they came back to London, not only was matcha not really a thing in the UK, energy drinks, natural energy drinks that have that longer lasting, no jitters, they weren't really around, and so Marisa was looking on the market and didn't really find anything that particularly appealed to her. And so that's when they kind of came up with this light bulb moment of, why don't we create our own natural energy drink using matcha? And that's how Perfect Head was born.
It's honestly delicious. Like, I love the branding. I love everything about it. Like 17 calories, like that's so good. And it's quite nice to have something that's different to coffee.
It is, yeah. And so on that, we are also one of the largest organic matcha powder suppliers in the UK. And so if you go to Joe and the Juice or Blank Street Coffee and you pick up a matcha latte, that is our matcha powder. Super tasty, ceremonial grade, which essentially means that it's picked in the first flush of spring. So it's the best quality leaves you can get.
Where's matcha grown? Is it Japan?
Japan, yeah. So we source our matcha directly from independent small tea farms in Uji, Japan. So again, like highest quality you can get. One of the sort of misconceptions about matcha is that it tastes sort of like bitter and grassy, but actually in a similar way with coffee, in that you get varying different quality of coffee. We've all had a great cup of coffee and we've all had a terrible cup of coffee. It's exactly the same with matcha. If you have a poor quality matcha, it's very dark in colour, very dark green, and that's when you're going to get that sort of bitter, grassy taste. But when you have our matcha powder, if you look at it, it's a very vibrant green, and you're going to get more of that sweet, umami, sort of creamy flavour when you have a matcha latte, and that's the big difference, really.
So true. I hadn't thought about that, but of course you've had such bad coffee. Like, also when coffee's burnt.
Oh, it's terrible.
And you've had like a really bad coffee and you're like, just the beans have been burnt and you can't make it taste good. I remember this one particular time when matcha was in its like, super infancy, I guess, if that's the right word or term. Back, like, I'm talking 2013, like maybe even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
When I was at uni, and matcha, again, it wasn't really a thing then. And well, it was obviously a thing. It's been a thing for like decades and like years and years.
Can I ask, like, what area in the UK was your uni?
I was down in Bournemouth.
Okay.
Yeah, and there was a couple of like those really trendy at the time, like health shops.
Yep.
That when you walked into them, like they smelled like health. That's genuinely how I can explain it. Like nuts and powders and seeds.
Yeah.
And almond meal and stuff like that people obviously now use like really regularly, but at the time wasn't really used.
Very niche.
Yeah. And there was this really lovely coffee shop called like Dr. Espresso or something down there, Espresso, and I really loved it, and I used to go there and everyone would be like, what's this green drink you're drinking? Like, it's so odd, you're so weird, you know. And I remember being like, yeah, but I like it. And then they used to sweeten it with sugar.
Yeah.
And so I thought that's how matcha tasted. I thought it was this really sweet drink. And then I came to London and had matcha, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so bitter, what's going on? Like, I was like, oh, the Bournemouth matcha is like really delicious. But I didn't realise they were adding all that sweetener to it.
Yes.
To make it taste good.
Yeah, so that's, if it's a poor quality matcha,
yeah,
coffee places will do that if it's poor quality. There are also some matcha brands that will do like a blend, so they might put in a coconut sugar.
Okay.
What essentially that means is that you're then not getting the full benefits of having a pure matcha, which is the longer lasting energy, and all the antioxidants, the L-theanine, etc. That's why a lot of people put sugar in their matcha powder. But I think what is interesting is when we think about coffee, and I talk about the coffee industry because I feel like everybody's, a lot of people drink coffee and it's an industry that people can really relate to, whereas matcha is a new category that is growing very quickly. So when we think about coffee, when we've had a bad cup of coffee from a coffee shop, we won't go there again. We will not go there. So we will go to the coffee place. Even if it's out of the way, we'll go to the great coffee place where we're going to have a good cup of coffee. And being part of like Joe and the Juice and Blank Street is exactly the same thing. And when you go in there, you will see Perfect Head on their menu. So in Joe and the Juice on the digital screen, and Blank Street's actually on the menu. And the reason for that is that Perfect Head is very much well known for being that high quality, great tasting matcha. And so often actually a lot of these places will charge if you want to put your logo on a menu. But for us actually, they didn't, because they realise the sort of benefit of having our brand on their menu, and just really being that like symbol for like great tasting matcha, basically.
So Teddy and Marisa, they've got the concept, they've got the idea. How did they start their recipe testing in their kitchen? Like how did it formulate, like really early stages before even they looked at a can? How were they like, right, how are we gonna do this?
So they were making like really big batches of matcha. It's actually quite interesting. So initially they were looking at launching a matcha latte in a Tetra Pak.
Okay.
So that's where they were going. They were like, oh, okay, well, think that they were like, this was like the easiest format to do it in. Essentially, Tetra Pak, they couldn't get the type of Tetra Pak they wanted.
Okay.
And that's when they had to pivot into sort of like the energy drink space. And they found a food developer. They found a manufacturer, and one of the things with matcha is that it's actually very, very hard to work with because it's not 100% soluble. So when they were making it, they went to the manufacturing place, and this guy came out and he was like literally covered in green powder, and he was just like, it's not going to be possible to make this product, it's way too hard. And by sheer perseverance, managed to find a way to make it work. But it's a great sort of like barrier to entry for other people that want to come into the category. I mean, matcha is an amazing ingredient, but it is very tricky to work with. And so you have to find your ways around that to really make it work. Obviously we have, and when you taste that, I mean, it's very smooth. It's, when you pour out, it's very clear, it tastes amazing. You're going to get more of the flavour of the sort of fruit juice, but you're going to get the benefits of the matcha, which is that longer lasting 4 to 6 hours of energy. No jitters and no crashes.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then they pivoted to an energy drink, basically.
And then, so they were still in the US at this time?
They were in the UK.
Oh, they were in the UK?
Yeah, came back to the UK.
So they've got their concept, they've got their idea, they're canning it.
Yep.
Who was their first customer, or was it all direct to consumer on their website?
So they did a lot of door knocking.
Yeah, as you do when you start.
As you do. But actually early days, they got interest from Planet Organic and Holland & Barrett. Holland & Barrett was actually the first retailer to launch them, went into 450 stores, which was pretty amazing. Then after that, Planet Organic, and just really sort of built the concept up there. And also offices. Yeah. So a lot of people who, working long hours, wanted that sort of like boost of energy in the afternoon, but maybe wouldn't be proud to have something like a Red Bull or Monster on their desk, but also just didn't want the crash or the negative association or feeling that they would get from having that kind of an energy drink. So that was a really great place for officers and people employees in offices to try our product, and they could go to Holland & Barrett and pick that up in store. So that was really key for us as well. And
getting it into the big offices, how did the route to market of that work? Because I'm assuming you can't just go and knock on the door of Goldman Sachs and be like, hey guys, stock this in your chillers. So Facebook was one of the first offices, so that was a straight door knock. And essentially what Marisa and Teddy do very well is, again, leveraging that like really positive energy and that, I mean, if you ever look at our socials, I mean, this might be a giveaway, but we're always in green. Particularly Marisa, like I don't think even on a day off I've ever seen her not in green. So they were lives and breathes it totally. And so they basically went to Facebook and they were like, we will, you know, sample our product, and if you like it, then, you know, take it on. And that concept just started to spread, and then it was LinkedIn. They did the same thing in LinkedIn, and then people would see it on their LinkedIn profiles when they were saying, you know, we've done this sampling at LinkedIn, and other offices would see that, and then they wanted them to come in and sample with those drinks. From that, we then started working with a wholesaler, Delicious Ideas, to then go into other office spaces, and then it just grew from there, really. God, the LinkedIn bubble is like such a thing. It really is. LinkedIn's really, great. Yeah. It's our #1 marketing platform. Whenever we meet people, like even consumers, it's I've seen you on LinkedIn. It's never I've seen you on Instagram. It's the #1 thing is I've seen you on LinkedIn. I need to get the founder of LinkedIn on this podcast. Yeah, that would be amazing. I don't think he or she has realises like how it's transformed. Who is the founder of LinkedIn? Who is the founder of LinkedIn? I feel like Teddy would probably be mates with him. Definitely. Teddy probably is mates with him. He probably is. That's how he's like pushed up the algorithm so much. He's been like, hey mate, would you mind? Yeah, just like #1 ranking. It's been such a platform for brands because it has such a ripple effect, and it's, you know, it's where buyers spend probably a lot of their time. They probably read it like they read the news. I mean, I do. Like, I used to scroll Instagram. I mean, I definitely still scroll Instagram, but I do scroll LinkedIn, like just for updates of things, which is kind of crazy. And thinking like I work in sales as well, and like pretty much 95% of my new business comes from LinkedIn, like sourcing the right people, understanding who's the buyer there. Okay, right, you work with that person, and you know, you can search by company, you can filter it down. Like, it's an amazing platform, and it gives brands like such a big voice. It does, particularly where Facebook and Instagram have become really hard to sort of get your brand out there. LinkedIn obviously
if someone likes it, it shares to their network, someone else likes it. It's very easy to go viral. It's an amazing platform, and it's just been great for us, to be honest.
So Holland & Barrett launched, then Planet Organic, and then obviously kind of a ripple effect of offices, etc. How did you... Actually, Dragon's Den.
Dragon's Den,
we haven't even touched on Dragon's Den yet. So how was that process? I know kind of obviously it was Teddy and Marisa like facing it, but really keen to understand, I think loads of my listeners will be as well, the whole process of Dragon's Den, because I grew up watching Dragon's Den with like my dad, my family. It was such a... I mean, sometimes you'd watch brands, and obviously it's good TV as well, right?
It's great TV.
And you'd sometimes watch things and you'd be like, gosh, I'm no marketer and I'm no like brand expert, but like, what is this? Like, how is this gonna work?
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
And then you get brands like Perfect Ted come on and you're like, oh my goodness, they totally smashed it, and like, I get it. So yeah, tell us about Dragon's Den.
So that experience was crazy. I think what a lot of people may not know is that I was friends with Teddy, Marisa and Levi before I worked with them, so probably for like a year before I worked with them. We met through Fiona Fitzpatrick, through Brand Growth Heroes. So I really saw them like literally just as they'd launched the brand. And then in the summer of 2022, they went on Dragon's Den, got all 5 offers and accepted investment from Stephen Bartlett, who is now an investor. But what a lot of people don't know is that, first of all, they were in that room for an hour and a half.
Really?
Yeah, so that was an hour and a half of filming. It's pretty intense. So we had 14 minutes of organic TV time. So that just gives you an idea of like how much it's cut down and how much you don't see. And then from filming until the episode went live, that was 9 months. And I joined in September 2022. That makes sense.
When I first met you, you literally just started?
I literally just joined because we met at that...
what was it again? The Nurture brand?
Nourish Awards?
That was the Nurture brand, that's a brand.
Nourish Awards. And so we knew, okay, roughly when our launch date was, it kind of got a little bit pushed back or brought forward a little bit, but we knew it would roughly be around March. And so we just knew, okay, well, we have these next few months to really like do all our outreach with our buyers, like, you know, just smash it, get our website up and running, which Marisa was in charge of, and she did an incredible job of making sure we had enough stock. But even preparing for all of that, we could never have anticipated how crazy it was. So on the night we actually threw a Dragon's Den viewing party, so which
was amazing.
Which you were at.
It was so fun.
It was great. So we rented out a cinema room. We broadcast it live. We had a dragon cake. I mean, that was what I remember. We had really great cocktails.
We did. Teddy's face was on the dragon cake.
Yeah, it was. It was great.
God, there's a big theme of like faces on cakes here.
Yeah, and it's Marisa. She's very good at cake.
Yeah, is it?
She doesn't make them, but she finds people.
She can't be a CEO and like an absolute British baker's queen as well.
If I was to put my money behind who in the company would do that, Marisa would 100% be a great cake baker.
It's illegal to be that pretty. I know. That clever. Be a CEO.
She's an all-rounder. Levi's a lucky guy, that's what I have to say.
Honestly.
He's a very lucky guy.
Such a lucky guy.
So yeah, and then I think we invited, God, I think it was something like, we might have invited like 100 people, I think maybe like 80 people were there, you know, from people that we work with, to friends, family, and broadcasted live. And until that moment, the founders had not watched that, so they had no idea. You have no idea how it's going to be edited. You don't know what's going to be said, how they're going to paint you out. We were the last segment of the episode, and it was incredible because they really made Perfect Ted the sort of like wholesome, positive business that's gone in and absolutely smashed it, which they did. They did an incredible job. And as soon as the episode ended, our Shopify was just going crazy. And
really?
Yeah. So in that month, I think we did close to £400,000.
Actually, I remember being there, and I remember Teddy like refreshing the Instagram page. And I was like, he was like, Zoe, oh my God. And I was like, what? And he was like, it's the followers. And they were just like going up and up and up and up and up. And I was like, this is crazy, like the effect of it and how many people like just from 14 minutes of airtime. I mean, it's national TV, right? Yes. So like there's thousands. I mean, what, 5 million people view that episode?
So I think it's about 6 to 8 million.
6 to 8 million.
Yeah. And it's obviously nationwide. So what was really interesting is that at that time, the 2 retailers that they had Holland & Barrett Plant Organic, or they might not have even had Plant Organic at the time, but Holland & Barrett was mentioned. They saw a 2,000% increase in their like online web traffic. They had to move stock from their depot onto the online website. They ran out of stock. You could not, I mean, it was like became a bit of a game where people just like were running to all their Holland & Barretts, couldn't find us anywhere, and it just went crazy. The press, I mean, it was just mental. Online sales just went through the roof. Teddy's mom had to come in as head of customer service.
I remember texting you and saying, if you need help, like, I will come and help pack boxes.
Well, yeah, because literally, I mean, God bless, like, Teddy, Marisa, Levi, like, they are the hardest working founders I've ever known in my life. I don't think any of us really had a day off for that whole month. And they were going into the warehouse like pretty much every weekend and just like helping ship orders or working on customer service. Also that week, which I haven't mentioned, but that was also the week that we launched into 1,200 Tesco stores.
That week?
That week.
You couldn't write it?
No. So on the Monday, we launched into the Tesco meal deal. And on the Thursday was our Dragon's Den episode. And so we knew that obviously typically like retailers take about 1 to 2 weeks to like roll out on shelf. And we were like, Teddy and I were like, we've got to get this stock on shelf. Like, we have to get it on. So on the Monday, we were up first thing in the morning. As soon as the Tesco's opened, we were going into all our Tesco's in London, literally going to the back of the Tesco's and pulling it out and putting it on shelf, making sure it was there for when that episode came on Thursday, people would be able to find it. It was just the craziest week of our lives. That is just,
it's pretty phenomenal, like the like kind of just exponential growth, like literally overnight. Like everyone's like, you know, all overnight successes, like they're not real, you know, it takes a long time to build a brand, and of course it does, but you literally did have an overnight success.
That is very unheard of in food and drink.
Yeah, it is unheard of, you're right.
You know, it's great to have that, but we're always trying to think, and if you look at Perfect Ted, the one thing I think that they're really known for is that like outside the box thinking. In their marketing, they're always thinking about how they can push the limits. And I think from their time of living in America, they act and think more like an American brand. And I think that's very refreshing for the UK, where we can play it a bit safe sometimes, or brands are looking to the other brands to get inspiration and copy each other. But actually it's not enough. Like, if you really want to be ahead of the game, you need to think outside the box, and that's hard. Marisa taught herself Adobe Photoshop. She edited all the videos. I mean, she was literally a one-woman band for the marketing, and it's not easy. It's hard work. It's long hours, and a lot of people just either don't want to do it, or they don't have the time, or they outsource it, and you don't always get, you know, you're not always really, the people when you outsource it don't obviously care about the brand as much as the founders will. And I think that they've just been so great at that sort of outside the box thinking, and that's still what we try to do today. So Dragon's Den was great. It obviously elevated our platform, but we're constantly thinking how we can push it more and think outside the box.
Marisa doing that all on her own, and also like the fact that the marketing just really has, like, it's so personable as well.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they're talking to like me when I watch it, and that's so, I think that's really difficult to get across, and it's so genuine and like super authentic. They're really relatable people. Yeah. Like, they're normal people, but they have a really cool brand, and I think that's what's like put them above and beyond like most people, especially in this space where you are it's so saturated with people trying to have a voice, whereas they have a different voice that's like really heard.
Yeah, I think, so there's this great guy, I don't know if you've come across him, called Will Posket.
Yeah.
On LinkedIn. So he's got an amazing email. So if anyone that doesn't sign up, like, I would definitely recommend it. And he had a saying in there that was like fame over likability. And so what he means by that is it's better to be more risky, to play big, than just trying to please everyone and play it safe. And I think that's something that we really try to think about Perfect Ted. Obviously, like, it's great to be liked as well, but to the point where you're just trying to be average and be liked by everyone. If you're liked by everyone, you're not loved by some, you know, you're not loved by some, and those are the people that are really going to champion the brand. Word of mouth marketing is one of the best channels that you can ever have, and I feel like that's something that Perfect Ted also really embodies.
You're never going to be liked by everyone. Like, you're told that at school.
Yeah.
You're literally told that at school. Like, you know, in your life you're going to come across difficult people in your career. You've got to have what makes you special and have your niche. So what's it like working with the Mr. Stephen Bartlett?
He is amazing. So I think where he brings the value is obviously in marketing. He's an absolute marketing genius. But he's just so invested in the brand. He WhatsApps the founders every single day. He's met, I think, pretty much everyone in the team. He's met Mrs. Levenfish, so Teddy and Levi's mom. Pretty sure that they're actually Instagram friends, so there we go. But he's super involved and just like really offers a fresh perspective from a marketing point of view, and all the things that he's sort of done for the brand. Like, he mentioned us in GQ. He had a vlog where he was asked what's his most successful Dragon's Den investment, and mentioned Perfect Ted. Off the back of that, we got picked up in the Daily Mail. So, you know, those are all like really nice organic pieces of press, which ultimately help with brand awareness. But he really does embody the brand, and he uses the product every day himself. So it's just great to have somebody who's like an authentic lover of Perfect Ted and its products. I think people like really resonate with him. They resonate with his content. He really understands what people want, and so it's just amazing to have somebody who's such an expert in that field as an investor in the company.
Playing in a space where it's really quite heavily dominated by the likes of, I guess, Monster, Red Bull. What's it been like playing in a bit of a monopoly?
They're brands that have been around for a really long time. So if you look at Red Bull, for example, that's been around since 1987. As a result, their brand awareness and household penetration is huge. But I think what we've been able to achieve in the last 2 years is really amazing. So when we look at the recent data, so we started working with North Star, which is a platform that leverages IRI data. And so when we look at the last 4 weeks of value added to sales, Perfect Ted is in the top 6. And the brands in there are Prime, Monster, Red Bull, Lucozade and Boost, which is owned by AG Bar.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I remember being at university actually, and there was like this Red Bull car. Like, there were Red Bull brand ambassadors at uni. I so remember that. And they were like, you know, they were the minis, and the back of the mini was like half a can, like coming out of the car.
Yeah.
So they really did like a massive focus on students.
Yeah.
Which actually, thinking about it, is quite bad.
Yeah, it
because
is.
the amount of crap in a Red Bull is really bad. Like, even Jaeger bombs.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, Jaeger bombs.
I know.
Oofed.
Yeah, horrendous.
I think, yeah, and I don't know if we can put this in, but genuinely I always say that when we speak about Red Bull, there's always, either you are or you know someone that's had a bad night out on Red Bull.
Yeah, literally.
And I was one of those people. I had one night when I had Red Bull and vodka, and it was no bueno.
No, because vodka slows your heart rate down, right? And Red Bull speeds your heart rate up.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So, like, putting those two together
was not good.
What the hell? Your body's just like, what is going on?
Never mind with Jaeger bombs. But actually, it's interesting that you mentioned the student space, because we are working on a student ambassadorship program.
Okay.
And we have literally had students come up to us going, I was approached by Monster, but I want to work with Perfect Ted because I resonate with your brand so much more.
Yeah.
It's made me feel amazing. A lot of students have ADHD. So ADHD is like really increasing the amount of diagnosis in the UK. And a lot of people...
Why do you think that is?
I think because in the UK, it's sort of been underdiagnosed.
Okay.
I think women kind of fly under the radar a bit more with it than men. Whereas in America, it's a bit more well known and accepted and recognised by doctors. There's still a lot of stigma attached with ADHD actually. But what we do know is, you know, it is real. People are really affected by this. And what students who, you know, when they're at uni, and that's an area where obviously ADHD would really like come out, and those symptoms would really impact them. And again, similar to Marissa's story, you know, having traditional energy drinks or coffee where it made those symptoms worse, a lot of the students are coming, they're like, your drink has changed my life. Parents come up to us and they say, I buy this for my child who's studying at uni. It's been an absolute game changer. And so it's just been so great to start launching this student ambassador program and have people that are just really, really embody the brand. I think also the younger generation are more aware of like mental health or more in tune with their mental health. And again, that's something that we really embody and talk about, and so it just really resonates with that consumer.
And pumping your body full of something that's like, you know, good for you, like your nutritional deck and your ingredients list is so natural, like sparkling water, pineapple juice, yuzu juice, ceremonial grade matcha, green tea extract, natural flavouring.
Yep.
There's nothing in there that I'd be like, God, I can't pronounce it, or that doesn't, like, what is this? Like, you look on the back of a Monster, and I reckon there are people out there that probably have 2 or 3 of those a day.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that aren't really having, and it's just an educational piece, right? They're not really sure what they're drinking, but they're getting all that energy. Whereas, like, you know, you could have a couple of these, 3 of these maybe, and it wouldn't necessarily, you wouldn't feel, like, well, you definitely wouldn't feel the crash. And it's like a slower process of like how, it's the same with sugar really, isn't it? Like if you have like all the cake and that, and then you just crash.
And then you crash,
It's the same with caffeine.
Yeah, and because basically the difference of matcha is that it has an antioxidant in it called L-theanine, and that basically helps your body's absorption of caffeine into the bloodstream.
Okay.
So you're not going to get that big peak and a drop. What you're going to get is that slow release energy. So you're going to get 4 to 6 hours of energy versus 1 to 2 hours of energy of a traditional energy drink or coffee. So way longer lasting energy. And again, with students, you know, sometimes you'll see them picking up this sort of like big cans of Monster. And
actually, yeah, that's another thing. Like the cans are that big.
They're huge, about 500 mils, some of them. Massive.
Yeah, they're big cans.
But they buy that because they want as much energy as they could possibly get. And when we explain to them, like, this can, 250 mils, 4 to 6 hours of energy, they go, oh my God, that is a game changer. Yeah. And that's like the thing that converts them. Have
you developed the recipe over time, or is this the original recipe that you launched with and it still has kind of like stayed the same?
So it's unfortunately not super my area of expertise, but these are the 3 that we went with. And what has been really interesting is that we see like a really big mix in the favourites. So for example, pear ginger is a bestseller at Waitrose, which kind of makes sense. Waitrose is a retailer that over-index in ginger. We see that in...
Why does my head go straight to like ginger people?
I'm literally... Because we're ginger.
We're literally the gingers of FMCG.
We're the 2 redheads of FMCG.
The fiery redheads.
Yeah, they're very fiery. Don't
mess with us.
Yeah, no.
Don't say no to us either.
That's why we're in sales.
That is literally why we're in sales. People just don't know how to say no. They're like, oh my God, she's walking in the door. Yeah, fine, we'll list it. Thank you very much.
I wish that's how all my meetings went. I wish that's how they all went.
You mean that doesn't happen to you?
I mean, that normally happens when they see Teddy and Marisa from Dragon's Den, and then they're like, oh, starstruck.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, it's interesting with the flavours, and apple raspberry is a bestseller in Tesco, and pineapple yuzu is actually a bestseller in Planet Organic. So it's nice to have that really big mix, and it just shows that, you know, these flavours are resonating with shoppers, which is always good to see.
So tell me about the pouches, I want to see.
We have our 30 gram pouch, and then we also recently launched our sachet. So we started off in food service with our matcha powder. So
big bulk bags of matcha.
Mainly 250 gram.
Okay.
And that's what you'll find in Joe and the Juice and Blank Street, Planet Organic as well. So if you pick up a matcha latte at Planet Organic, that is our matcha powder as well. We actually replaced Tea Pig's theirs. And then from that, when we launched into Tesco, we had some interest from the tea buyer to launch a retail pouch of our matcha powder. And so we did that, and then a lot of our consumers were then asking for on-the-go sachets, and we have got some exciting retail launches coming up with sachets, but can't say that just yet, but watch this space.
Confirmed.
In May, we launched into 560 Tesco stores with our matcha pouch.
With this one here?
With that one, the 30 gram. About a month ago, or at the beginning of September, we launched again our 30 gram matcha pouch into 855, so full distribution in the UK of our in Holland Barrett with our matcha pouch.
And what does better? Is it cans versus pouches, or do pouches do better than cans?
The cans, obviously, we're in the meal deal across Waitrose and Tesco, so that performs very well. I would say with our matcha powder, you know, it's people find us obviously through Instagram, or we've converted people who hadn't had it before. What also happens is that when we're at trade shows, for example, London Coffee Festival, Taste of London, we've partnered with during the juice in Blank Street to give little samples of matcha powder. So we've had like a vanilla one and then just a plain one. We also have a blueberry matcha latte with Blank Street, which is very popular. It's one of their best-selling products in all their lines, food and drink lines, so it's amazing.
Oh my gosh, I need to try that.
It's incredible, very Instagrammable. So if you go in there, I mean, we sat there for a meeting and we were just watching people come in, picking up a blueberry matcha latte, taking a photo, going one after the other. There was more blueberry matcha than coffee. Honestly, it was crazy.
Do you have a black card?
I wish we did. I wish we did. So it's nice that people are sort of trying us in those locations and then they're converting over to grocery. But we're really looking at doing a lot more with the matcha powder in retail, because a lot of people have heard about matcha, but there is still that barrier of people sort of thinking, okay, I know about it, but I don't really know how to make it. And so we're doing like a lot of work around that, and this is how easy it is to make the perfect matcha latte at home.
That's a really interesting point, actually, because I think you guys have a bit of an educational piece as well to do. Yeah. Like with protein, most people you ask, most people know what protein is, right? They know it's like the building blocks of muscles, etc. And things like gut health. Like, because we live and breathe FMCG, we think gut health is massive. And of course it is a really big part of why people have yogurt and why they have probiotics. But I guarantee I asked my office block, for example, people won't know the difference between pre and pro. And, they don't really know why sauerkraut is good for you. They don't really know why fermented food is that good for you. They know that it's fermented, but like, why? What's that doing? Yeah. And I think it's the same, like matcha, again, it's like, it's growing so much. And there is that educational piece around it that you guys are definitely doing with your products, which is really exciting because you have like so much influence in it.
Yeah, I think for us it's, again, people know us as being like the high quality, great tasting matcha powder, but being in 560 Tesco stores nationwide, like, you're right, FMCG, we're in a bubble. London is a bubble. London's a bubble. We talk about that all the time.
All the time.
So, how can we get it out to as many people as possible and really just show like how simple it is. Our sachet is also just like a really good example of how we've made it that much easier for a consumer, because you literally just take one of those, you mix it with your water, put it with your milk, and it's just super easy. Watch the space, because we do have some really cool partnerships coming out where we're just doing a huge piece on matcha education, basically.
Yeah, that's so exciting. Yeah, like the School of Matcha.
Yes.
So you need that School of Rock, School of Matcha.
Matcha 101.
Literally Matcha 101. Talk to me about the Hardest Geezer partnership, because like all my friends are like, oh my God, please ask about the Hardest Geezer. They're so invested in it and they love it, and they're, entering the giveaway. They really want to win the trip to Africa to run with him. I will just come, if that's okay, on the side.
Yeah,
probably won't run it, but I'll just like come and chill and chat.
No, you have to run it. You have to run it. Have you run a marathon?
I have run a marathon. Okay. Yeah, I did 2019. Before
quite
COVID.
recent. You're in good shape. You'll be fine.
I'm in okay shape.
It'll be like 40-degree heat.
London wasn't quite like that. We were running in, I think it was like that's such a lie, 17. That's a great day.
That's quite nice.
It was like 12.
Okay, well, yeah,
but you have a constantly higher body temperature, because obviously like you're running and you're exercising. That was now about 3 years ago that I ran a marathon, and life got really busy and I moved to London. I was still living at my parents' house in Windsor, where I could just train in the fields on the weekend, and then I got a social life, so by moving to London.
So Russ will probably finish his journey in March, so you've basically got that long until
to train.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine. That's where you'll next see me. I'll be running alongside him.
It's a really cool partnership. So essentially, he sort of was connected with Stephen. He saw Stephen talking about Perfect Ted. He's obviously running marathons every single day, and he wanted and needed energy that wasn't giving him a crash. We got connected to him, and then he was like, I really want to work with you guys. And so Teddy was like, I'll fly out to Africa next week.
I love that energy. I honestly love that. I'd do the same.
It was honestly really crazy.
Just get on the plane.
He was like, I'm going to come to Africa and I'm going to deliver you a Tesco meal deal, because this is the one thing that Russ said that he was missing from home. And so he was like, what do you want? And he said, I want a duck hoisin wrap, a Kit Kat chunky, and a Perfect Ted. It was like a really kind of weird period, because we were like, is it safe? I think it was that week that they were sort of getting all the shots that Russ got held at gunpoint and had his passport stolen. And so it was quite, it was quite scary.
He really is a hard geezer.
He is a really hard geezer. He's got an incredible mindset. But it was quite scary. We didn't really know what to expect with the guys going out there. And Teddy was just really determined to give Russ his Tesco meal deal. And so he went to Tesco on the day of the flight, got a cooler bag, packed it with ice, put in his duck hoisin wrap, his Kit Kat Chunky and a Perfect Ted, and off they went. Flight got cancelled, had to be rerouted, had to go via Dubai, so flew out to Luanda, which is the capital of Angola.
God, I wouldn't know that, and I did geography A level. Where is that? Literally, I didn't.
They were like, we're flying out to Luanda, and I was like, oh cool, Rwanda. They were like, no, Luanda. I'm like, where's that?
Yeah, I'd have to literally go Google Maps.
I'm also half South African, so that's really bad for me.
Yeah, that is bad for
That's
you.
really bad, but I don't even think my mum, who's fully South African, would know where Luanda is.
No.
But yeah,
lying?
No, it's actually not real.
It's not.
Flew out to Luanda, which is the capital of Angola, and Teddy, who had never ran a marathon in his life, ran a marathon with Russ. I mean, just totally inspired by Russ. I mean, he really has got the most incredible mindset. I mean, he has gone through some crazy things, like I said, being robbed at gunpoint. He also went missing in this jungle in the Congo, got taken in, I think, by a tribe, got lost for, I think it was at least, it was like a night or 2 nights.
He's a redhead, right?
And he's a redhead.
Well, I'm not surprised. I get it.
What, you're not surprised that he got taken in?
No, sorry. Basically, if you're ginger, you're picked on. So yeah.
I thought you meant that they were like, oh yeah.
No.
They were like, yes.
Oh God, I'm crying.
Throwing the redhead.
What do you think of this?
All the tribes, then we
chance?
can't go to Congo because we'll just be abducted.
No, I meant. Oh God.
Oh, okay.
I meant the I can't even talk. I meant because of the like fieriness and the way that he is, like that he's even doing this, like resonates with another ginger.
He is, yes, true. Yeah, but he's
But
he's
no,
so
not
resilient.
the fact that he was he got attacked. Or not attacked. This isn't even that funny.
It's quite funny.
It's quite funny, but now, like, when you Googled, anyway, moving swiftly on.
So yeah, when we came back, we were like, okay, he's amazing. We really want to shout about this partnership. So we launched the Hardest Geezer Tesco Meal Deal campaign, which was basically buy your Hardest Geezer Tesco Meal Deal, so the duck hoisin wrap, the Kit Kat Chunky, and a Perfect Ted. You can also get the vegan version. Show us your craziest submission.
Okay, so what's the craziest submission you've had so far to date?
The craziest one has to be one that came in actually at the weekend, where a guy ran a marathon, and so for every mile he would stop and have a Hardest Geezer Tesco Meal Deal. So he had 26 hoisin duck wraps, 26 Kit Kat Chunkies, and 26 Perfect Teds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is dedication.
Another guy...
He probably never wants to see another meal deal in his life.
I don't know, maybe it works the other way. Maybe he's so addicted now.
Yeah, to be fair, it could be that.
I would love to see if there's been an increase in duck hoisin wraps.
Oh my God, you need to pull that data.
Yeah, that would be great.
You absolutely must.
Need to chat to Dunhumby.
Yeah, get them involved. Be like, excuse me, I just need a quick favour.
Yeah, duck hoisin wraps. What's it looking
There
like?
must be an uplift in it.
I mean, just purely from that guy alone.
Yeah.
Again, watch this space, because we're going to be doing a lot more with that partnership. So yeah, it's just great to sort of go deep on that.
And when is the winner revealed?
It depends when Russ's finish date is, because it's set for sort of February, March, but who knows? Who knows? But around that time.
What do you think is the future of like natural energy? Where do you think this category's going? I mean, I'd love to think that we can kick Monster and Red Bull out, but I think it's going to take a long time to filter in, because as you said, London's a bubble. Like, we all know massively who you guys are. I know you have national distribution, like, but it's still like a big educational piece. And I'm thinking of those like white van man drivers where there's like cans of like Red Bull and Monster like in the front, like they probably don't know that Perfect Ted gives you like better energy. So yeah, where do you think the future of kind of natural energy is going?
Yeah, so I think for us, the way that we kind of look at energy is sort of in 3 waves. So you've got your traditional energy drinks, which was energy at any cost. So that would be like your Red Bull and your Monsters, where you have your caffeine and your preservatives and just hardcore energy. And then the next wave was your natural energy, so the likes of Tenzing, who still provided the same kind of energy, but just with natural ingredients. But really, in today's world, that is what consumers expect. They expect natural ingredients. And so the next wave, the third wave that we're leading is functional energy. So that's natural energy, but with the benefits, so longer lasting energy, no jitters and crashes. And when you look at when you look at the soft drinks category, sports and energy is the only subcategory that is in growth. So I believe it's in 19% growth. Functional energy is a huge player in that. It's why the likes of, say, for example, Tesco and Waitrose have really backed us as a new brand to grow that category. And so there's a huge opportunity. And you're right, there's a big space in convenience. Like I said, we're only 26 weeks into grocery. It's really early days, and there's still a huge opportunity for us in convenience.
Massive opportunity for you in convenience, yeah.
Huge. And I think what's interesting after Dragon's Den, so before I would say like our core consumers were health conscious consumers. Then you have your female consumers as well. So a big untapped shopper is women in sports and energy. So sports and energy massively under indexes in female shoppers. And the reason for that is that most of the traditional energy drinks do not resonate for female consumers. They're very hyper masculine, they've got bulls and monsters on the can, and also with the ingredients for women that are typically more health conscious. If you think about the grocery and the shopper, I believe it's 70 to 80% of shopping is done by women. So
yeah. That makes sense.
Which makes sense, right? Families, etc. Yeah. And so Perfect Head really has this unique opportunity to appeal to shoppers that don't resonate with current energy drink options. And we're really sort of like trying to go deep on that and really speak to those consumers who just feel like they don't resonate with the options currently on shelf. What was interesting is that we had a lot of people who were shift workers, lorry drivers, picking up the drink because, again, they want longer lasting energy. So they want that 4 to 6 hours. There are also people that do not want the negative side effects.
The calories in the Red Bull and the Monster, it's like a chocolate bar.
Yeah, and a lot of it's just like the way it makes you feel, right? Actually, one of our this is really interesting. So one of our first online website orders was a woman who worked for Tesco, and she had been buying us online, putting us in her locker and having it during her shift. And when we launched into Tesco, she started taking photos and was like, oh my gosh, I've been buying your drink and I've been putting it in my locker. And then she would buy our multi-packs from Tesco and then put them in her locker. Her name's Vanessa, so shout out Vanessa. But
it's to you, Vanessa.
Yeah, to you, Vanessa. Thanks. Early day, major fan.
Early adopter.
Exactly. But yeah, there's still a huge growth opportunity. I think for us, a big focus is marketing. We've just got some really cool things in the pipeline. We just really want to get the brand out there as much as possible and just reach even more people and make them feel amazing.
I totally agree, and I'm going to be there along the journey. I can't wait to see what. And I want to I'm excited for your MPD. Yeah. I want to know more, but I can't know more. And it's annoying when you want to know more and you can't know more. But we'll see it soon. We have got some very, very cool MPD in the pipeline, so yeah, watch this space. Watch this space. So to close the interview, I've got some quick fire closing round questions. Okay. What is your favourite product out of your range? It has to probably be the apple raspberry. I drink probably 3 of them a day. What is your biggest failure and what did you learn from it? I've had 2 businesses. One was actually how I got into food and drink. So it was an online health and wellness magazine that promoted healthy food and drink brands, where I was interviewing founders of businesses, and actually one of those founders then offered me a job. No way. In sales. So that's how I got into it. And the second one was during COVID, when I was unemployed. I started a ready-to-eat overnight oats brand, and sort of looked after that, and it was great fun, but working with a short shelf life chilled product is really, really tough. You're talking like a week shelf life, and
just the technology wasn't really there to take it mass market. But I think that while those are sort of on paper failures because you launch a brand and then you close it down, ultimately for me, like, they were just huge growth opportunities, and I learned so much, and I've been able to take those learnings and apply them to my everyday work life as well.
So actually, like, having that entrepreneurial like spirit in you probably works so well alongside Teddy and Marisa, because they probably like live and breathe it. And actually, I think, yeah, you're head of sales, but you're more than that. Like, you're part of a massive family over there.
Yeah.
And because you've had that experience, you can also really understand what it's like to be a founder and like the graft that needs to go in, which is actually quite unique. Like, most people won't come in with that kind of experience.
No, that is true, and that's the one thing that I feel like I did really bring. You will never know how it feels to have a business until you have a business, and like, everything rests on you. Like, you have to be the leader. Like, if things hit the fan, it's on you. Like, you also have to give your team confidence. You have to reassure people. While also just...
You're managing people.
You're managing people while also sometimes being scared and not knowing the way forward. And, you know, because I've been through that experience, I can resonate with what the founders are going through. And I think that does help in a way. One
bit of advice you would give to somebody that would want to start their own business or kind of get into the world of FMCG, because it's a very like cool, fun place to work. Now, I feel like fashion will always be like a very fun place, and like lots of girls and boys want to work in fashion still, like, definitely. But I do feel like FMCG is definitely one of those categories, like a whole industry that is, it's now like, I want to work in that because it's fun. Like, we work really hard, but it's because we have so much fun that we're like, I want to work really hard for this brand because I really care about them. And it's, at the end of the day, like, we're not saving lives. Like, I'm selling yogurt and you're selling an energy drink. Like, it's, you know, we're all about the mission, and what we're trying to do is actually just make people, you know, enjoy their lives better, but making healthier like switches. Yeah. And that's really key. So yeah, what bit of advice would you give somebody wanting to work in this like insane industry that we are very lucky to work in?
Do your market research. So actually make sure that people want your product, that there is actually demand for it. Make sure it's commercially viable. If you are trying to create something that is, you know, super, super premium, and you're working with very slim margins, it's never going to go mainstream. So just make sure you've got your commercials in place. Yeah. And I would say third is you've got to think outside the box. Brand is everything.
Brand is everything.
It's everything. It's not enough to be doing the same as everybody else is doing right now. You have to think 10 steps ahead. Don't look at what even the most recent thing is. You've got to go above and beyond that. If you don't, you will never be a leader. You will never be a leader within that category. You have to go for it and just smash it out of the box when it comes to brand and marketing. You have to be a people person.
Yeah, people by people.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's sort of like in COVID, people really got used to sort of like online meetings or just doing things over email, whereas we always make a case of where we can, in-person meeting. We never go with like a slide deck or presentation. We want to get to know the buyer as a person. Who are they? What do they get excited about? What is their mission within their company? Also, what do they personally care about?
It's funny, these are all really simple things.
Yes.
These are like what people should do generally. Like, if I wanted to be your friend and we were in the same classroom, this is what I'd want to know about you. But like, oh, what's your family? Like, what do you do? How have we got so... what's the word? Like, I guess, separated. Is that the right word I'm thinking of?
Well, like just overcomplicating.
Yeah, like
it,
how,
right?
Yes, literally that. How have we overcomplicated it so much that we need all this extra, this and this when it comes to selling, when actually, like, me, you, time, place, product, let's chat.
Yeah, let's chat. And again, it's just, I think it's overcomplicated because it's scary. Especially if you're a founder of a business, you've got so much riding on it. You really want to make it work. But don't forget that, like, the relationship part, that is, like, honestly so key. From a business perspective, understand what their objectives are.
Yeah.
You know, what do they want to do in the category?
Yeah, finding, like, not a problem with them, but, like, finding a...
Well, be the solution, right?
Exactly that, yeah.
Be the solution to their problem, but also, again, on the personal level, you know, what do they really care about? And a great example of that is our Tesco buyer as a young female. When we went and met her, she was like, I look at the category and there's nothing that personally resonates with me, and I have that with Perfect Ted. And so because she was our core sort of customer, she really understood our product, our mission, and because of that, backed us into 1,200 stores in the meal deal. Genuinely, again, like genuinely unheard of for a brand that was at that time just over a year old.
Yeah. I mean, your success has been like next to none. It's been exponential, it's been insane. I've loved watching it on LinkedIn, the journey, and like knowing you guys as well as actual people. Like Teddy is such a nice guy, Marissa's such a lovely lady. Like obviously you're fab as well, because hello, you're here. But no, yeah, it's been amazing. And I think you're right, COVID put such a block on real life, and I was reading something the other day, and it really resonated with me. It was like, how have we become so far removed from like real life that we now have there are now like studies to show that nature is good for you? And I was like, fuck, that's mental.
Yeah.
The fact that like someone has researched that nature is good for us. Like, yes, we should go out more.
That's sad.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
And that's I guess the same with like what we've just said, in the sense that like bringing it back to basics. Like what do people want to hear? What do they want to know? And making it like personal.
Yeah, it's making it human. Our mission is to spread positive energy. Obviously we do that on our products by having, a product that makes you feel good, longer lasting energy. But we also embody that in our like professional relationship. And so when we're on email, we actually will talk to our buyers like we would in a conversation. We use emojis, we use exclamation marks. We're super personable with them because we're human, they're human. And ultimately from that, we can actually very lucky to call some of our buyers friends, and we just have a really good rapport with them. And so that makes a huge difference. Yeah, and that's the intangible stuff that you cannot put a price on. Exactly. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming on Getting to Grow. It's been super fab to chat. Absolutely loved it. And cheers to Perfect Ted. Cheers. Thank you for having me.